Chapter 3. Why do we need a parliament? We proudly say that India is the largest democratic country in the world, has the highest number of parliamentarians. The total number of members in Lok Sabha is 545. In this chapter, we would like to analyze what is the need to have a parliament, how does the parliament function, how are the members of the parliament elected, and what is the role of the people in electing the members of the parliament. These are the key factors what we are going to discuss in this chapter. Why should people decide? We all know India has set up its parliamentary structure after India became independent in the year 1947. On 15th of August 1947, India attained its independence from the strong colonial rule of the Britishers. When they were formulating the rules and regulations, they always tried to do favor for themselves or for the country, the colonial master country, not for the Indians. So Indians, though they don't like it, though they were forced to do certain acts which were against the interest of the Indians, but Indians never dared to oppose them. They were scared. They are afraid of the British rule. They always used to frighten the Indians by giving horrible punishments to them, severe punishments to them who have opposed them. Sometimes they used to kill the people, those who opposed them, openly, so that nobody else would dare. Like this, the British rule has created fear among the Indians. So during this period, it is only after the formation of the Indian National Congress, INC, in 1885, the way to bring out the dissatisfaction of the Indians, we got a proper channel, that is the Indian National Congress. Through that, the Indians started to become united and express their feelings or discontent towards the British rule. So with the growing dissatisfaction, the Government of India Act of 1909 was passed, in which the representation was given for the very few sections of people, or very less percentage of people were incorporated into the administration of the British rule. And here, as the awareness of the people towards the law, and they started to question why are these kind of laws passed against the interest of the Indians. The people's participation was highly restricted when the British rule was in progress. So, having the experiences of all these incidents and the situations, the framers of the Indian Constitution kept in their mind that every Indian has to be made the participant of the government. Every individual has to be given the right to vote, irrespective of any barriers. Every Indian should feel that he has his valuable contribution in formulating the policy of the government. So like this, the framers of the Constitution, looking at the past experiences, what the Indians have gone through, have given the universal adult franchise for all the Indians, irrespective of the caste, color, creed, race, religion, or gender discriminations. Any Indian citizen who attains 18 years of age, irrespective of any discrimination, will be getting the right to vote, through which he can participate and decide in the elections. His vote is very valuable when the time of election comes. So this is the historical background why we need people to decide who should be governing us, who should be the members of the parliament. So all these has come up from our past experiences. Till now we have discussed what is a need, or why should people decide about the members of the parliament or about the government structure? Why should be people playing an important role? That's what we have discussed. We have looked at the historical point of view, why the framers of the constitution has given us the universal adult franchise. Now moving ahead, people and their representatives. People play a very vital role in democracy. Democracy is for the people, by the people, of the people, as rightly mentioned by Abraham Lincoln. Till now we have seen and discussed what is a need for us in our country to give the concept of universal adult franchise. We have looked at the history of India, where many of the Indians have suffered under the British colonial rule, when there is no equality, no scope for the people to participate in the decision making of the government against the same people who are supposed to follow the rules and regulations which are dictated by the government, which were done against the interest of the people. So looking at all these consequences, the framers of the constitution guaranteed to all the people the right to vote, which we call as universal adult franchise. Now moving ahead, people and their representatives. In democracy, democracy is the best form of government of the 21st century. This we can see when many number of countries, like more than 50 countries, turn to be a democratic country from a non-democratic countries. So this ultimately reveals the secret that of the present century, the best form of government is democracy. Abraham Lincoln rightly described about democracy that it is of the people, by the people, for the people. Democracy is given of the people to serve of the people. It is elected by the people. It serves for the people. It works to fulfill the needs of the people. Like this, democracy ultimately revolves around the circle of people. So without the consent or without the participation of the people, democracy cannot be fruitful. That's what in democracy we need, first of all, the consent of the people. The consent of the people is a prime most important factor in democracy. Every individual's consent is required to run a successful democratic country or a successful democratic form of government. How do they express people? Basing on the desires, approval and participation of the people, we get to know the consents of the people. Once, if any interest or large section of people decide to have this kind of system should be in place, this kind of rule should be in place, that is a desire. When an approval was made by the members of the parliamentarian, and if it is getting approved, here we get the approval. And when it comes to the participation, people participate in forming of the government by participating in the elections. So how we run the democratic government is, the first you secure the support of the people. Once you get the secured support of the people, then you can strongly run the government. You can form the government. You can execute, you can implement, you can frame the laws. Without the support of the people, you cannot be there even for one day. As soon as the ruling party loses the confidence in the people's house, definitely they have to resign. So all these things reveals that the consent of the people is highly important in a democratic form of government. Now moving to answer a question, how the approval of the government is done by the people. We generally, in order to get approved to anything, we approach to an office, we fill in an application form and we wait for the concerned officer to approve it. So here in parliament or the functioning of the government, how is it being approved by the people? We have 120 crore population. So will the government submit application to all the people? Is it possible? practically it is an impossible task. The members of the parliamentarians are elected directly by the people. People use their universal adult franchise, use their right to vote, irrespective of the caste, color, creed, region or religion, and they approve the candidates to be the members of the parliament, to the Lok Sabha, and the elected representatives of Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha, Vidhana Parishad, the state legislative assemblies, all together will elect the members of the Rajya Sabha. So these representatives will approve the bills of the government. The laws will become an act only once they are getting approved by the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So Parliament plays a very vital role. Even a single penny cannot be sent or spent without the approval of the Parliament. All the members of the Parliament are nothing but they are representing the actual population. They are people's representatives, either directly or indirectly. So when the government actions are questioned, discussed, debated and approved in the Parliament, it is nothing but people are approving the decisions of the government through Parliament, through their representatives. So that is how the approval of the government is done through people. So people elect their representatives. These people's representatives elect the members of the other house, that is Rajya Sabha. People's representatives are in Lok Sabha. These two houses together approve the functioning of the government, approve the bills to become an acts of the government, approve the spendings of the government, question the working of the government, bring up the drawbacks of the laws which are passed by the government. So people directly control the government through their representatives. That is why people and their representatives play a very vital role in a democratic form of government. Till now we have seen how do the people control and approve the functioning of the government through their representatives. People and their representatives. Where do the people's representatives work? Where is the government forming? What is the criteria to form the government? And through which house the people control the government? These all will be answered in the role of the Parliament discussion. What is the role of the Parliament? Here, in 15th elections, the Indian National Congress, which were held in 2009, Indian National Congress emerged as the single largest party, securing 206 seats in the Parliament. While in the 16th Lok Sabha general elections held in May 2014, the Bharatiya Janata Party BJP has secured 282 seats and emerged as a single largest party in these elections. So like this, a political party which gets the maximum number of its candidates elected to the Parliament of the House, that is Lok Sabha, through people in the procedure of elections or in the process of elections, they will be the members of Parliament. So now we will discuss in detail what is Parliament, what does it contain, how the members are elected, what is the role of the people over this. To select the national government, first of all, in Parliament we have two major houses. One is Lok Sabha, the other one is Rajya Sabha. The parliamentary structure itself we borrowed from the UK model of government. In UK we have the parliamentary structure, parliamentary setup, where they have two houses, the House of the Lords and the House of the Commons. Parliament Hall, that is the Westminster Hall, is considered as the mother house of all the parliament, or the mother of all the parliaments, because from there itself the first democratic parliamentary structure has evolved. So we also adopted the similar type of model for us, the role of Lok Sabha and the role of Rajya Sabha, that is Lok Sabha just like that of House of Commons, Rajya Sabha just like that of House of Lords. Now moving on into the details. In Lok Sabha, we have a total number of 545 candidates. 543 are elected directly by the people, while the rest of the two are nominated from the Anglo-Indian community by the President of India. And moving to Rajya Sabha, in Rajya Sabha we have 233 members elected by the people directly through the people's representatives, means people elect indirectly here, and the rest of the 12 are nominated by the President of India, who are extensively well versed and talented in the different fields of art, film, music, etc. And moving into the details of Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha elections are held for every 5 years, wherein Rajya Sabha the elections are held for every 6 years. Lok Sabha elections are called general elections, but for Rajya Sabha you call it as a permanent house, because for every 2 years 1/3 of the members would retire, and these 1/3 of the members gap which has come because of their retirement, they will be elected, and the term of Lok Sabha is for 6 years. So for every 2 years we have certain number of people retiring, and the candidate can serve for a maximum of period 6 years in Rajya Sabha. So like this we have two houses in our parliament. The two houses candidates are elected by the people. The members of Lok Sabha are elected by the people of India, whoever has attained 18 years of age, through the procedure of elections, that is the general elections, which will be held for every 5 years. So for every 5 years when the elections are held, they are held for Lok Sabha. For how many candidates? 543. So these 543 candidates will contest. Different political parties will make their different candidates to stand up and contest in the elections. Once they are contesting in the elections and they are able to secure the people's support, then they become the members of the parliament. Like these elected representatives of Lok Sabha, the elected representatives of Vidhan Sabha, means the state assemblies will get the seats. Those people all together will choose the members of Rajya Sabha. So here the members of Lok Sabha are elected directly, while the members of Rajya Sabha are elected indirectly by the people. And now, how can a national government be formed? Let us move back to the elections of 15th elections. In 15th elections, if you remember, before Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister, we have Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister. So Manmohan Singh does not belong to Bharatiya Janata Party. Manmohan Singh belongs to Indian National Congress. So the Indian National Congress has secured 206 seats in Lok Sabha of the Parliament in 2009 when the 15th elections were conducted. So a political party which is having more than 50% of the seats, that is like 543 plus 2 by 2, that is 545 by 2, you get 272 plus 1. So you should have at least 272 seats or one more than that. Then only that political party can form the government. So here if you look at the example of 15th general elections, the Indian National Congress could not get the required number or the magical figure to form the government. So Indian National Congress has made ally with the different other political parties and formed a coalition and emerged as UPA, United Progressive Alliance, and with that they secured the required number of 272 mark and they formed the government. A government which is formed with a combination of different groups or different political parties is known as coalition government. As if you look at the elections of 13th, 14th and 15th, it has become very difficult for a single political party to get maximum number of seats required. So, the Congress has formed an alliance with the other political parties and created an United Progressive Alliance group, that is UPA, and took over the coalition government from 2009 to 2014 till the 16th general elections were conducted. The 16th general elections, if you look at the result of this, these were conducted in the month of May in 2014. Here in these elections, the Bharatiya Janata Party candidates have secured 282 seats out of 543, and they have secured the required number of seats to form the government. So we all know what is the required number. What is the required number of seats to form a government that is required to have in Lok Sabha? That is 272 or more than that. So 282 is definitely greater than 272. So that's why we have Sri Narendra Modi ji becoming the Prime Minister from Bharatiya Janata Party. Here the Congress has lost the elections. The Indian Parliament structure is really a great structure. Why is it great? If you look at the election procedure or the transformation of the power from one political party to another political party in other countries, you see a lot of bloodshed happening, lot of misuse of the power happening by the ruling party against the weak people. But here in 15 general elections, Congress emerged as a strong political party or the largest political party, formed an alliance and was in ruling. But in 2014, when the Congress was in power, the BJP contested in the elections. It was not even in a very strong position and was able to secure more than the seats and reduced the power of the Congress members to a very less number, significantly not even able to get the status of the opposition. So here the transformation of the power happened very smoothly without a bloodshed of a single drop. So that's why Indian parliamentary structure is great. And now moving into the details, what is the next major duty once you form the government? The next important duty of the parliament, once the elections are done for the parliament, all the parliamentarians have to fulfill the duties of the parliament. So the next important one is to control, to guide and to inform the government. How can the members of the parliament control the government? When we look at the procedure that is followed in the parliament, first of all, we have in parliament the question hour. Through the question hour, the members of the parliament raise the questions asking the government to respond on a particular issue, to ask what was the action taken by the government on a particular issue, on a particular point, on the particular incident. So all these things can be brought to light by the questions which are posed by the members of parliament to the government. Then the government, if it has done some action over the issue or some policy has been formulated or something was in pending, it would answer this question in the question hour. If the government doesn't know this, then it will take it as an issue and then it starts to react on that one. So in this way, the actions of the government, the policies of the government, everything can be questioned in the question hour. Question hour, questioning can be happened in this whole hour. Any act of the government can be questioned in the parliament through the members of the parliament, who are none other than the representatives of the people. Next, guide. If there are any lapses in the laws which are formulated or the plans which are being proposed by the government or by any ministry of the government, then that can be brought to light by the members of parliament through the necessary evidences or through discussion in the question hour or the debate hour. So they debate the issues or the concerns what they have from their side, and that can be brought to light as Parliament as a medium. And they can also inform to the government what has happened somewhere and no action has been taken. Through question hour they can ask the government, through the debate they can guide the government, and through bringing some issue to the notice in the Parliament they can inform to the government what is happening, and like this they directly exercise the control over the working of the government. Prime Minister and all his ministers are answerable in the house of the Parliament of Lok Sabha. So like this, the members of the Parliament exercise a considerable control over the government, Prime Minister and all his ministers. So people are indirectly controlling the government. People are directly controlling through people representatives the government. And moving on further to the third important duty of the Parliament is to formulate laws. The formulation of a laws has a prescribed and a detailed procedure which we will be discussing in the very next chapter. Who are the people in Parliament? We till now discussed that the people's representatives are the members of Parliament. In Lok Sabha we require 545 candidates, that is 543 plus 2, while in Rajya Sabha we have 233 plus 12. Now moving into the details, does really the democratic or the representative democracy, the democratic form of elections or the representative democracy will truly reflect the mixture or the combination of the different categories of people in the society in the Parliament hall? The answer was no, because the representative democracies never give a perfect reflection of the society. In society, we have Hindus, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Parsis, we have Sikh community people, Zoroastrians, Jains, everybody. We have high caste people, we have low caste people. We have rich, we have many poor, absolutely poor, who are suffering with poverty. So all these categories of people come under the caption of society. So does truly Indian democratic elections bring up the combination or the mixture or the reflection of the society? The answer was no, because only the higher educated people, highly privileged people, rich people, higher caste people are getting access to be the members of Parliament. So a detailed study went in to know about the details of this. So it was because of the economic backwardness, because of the social exclusion, these categories of people like SC and ST are exempted to contest in the elections. Lack of economic resources and lack of the efforts from the society side. So the Parliament has passed rules like certain amount of seats in the Parliament are allotted for the SC and the ST candidates, so that these particular categories of people's expressions, views, thoughts can be brought to the notice of the Parliament, and these categories of the people can also be uplifted in the society, so that we can have socio-economic equality. Upgrading of these people is the utmost responsibility of the government also. So in Parliament there was given reservation for the SC candidates, and for ST candidates certain amount of seats are allotted. This can give some amount of reflection of the society. Earlier we are not getting the true picture of the society in representing in Parliament, but now we are getting some amount of representation, but still we are far from reality. How can we say that we are far from reality? We are getting people from lower downtrodden categories of people also, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribal people also. But still we need to remember the fact that more than 50% of the population is women, but there are no special seats reserved for the women candidates. Earlier in 50s and 60s, the representation of the women was only 4% in the Indian Parliament when they are consisting 50% of the Indian population? How can just 4% of the women be a true reflection of the society? And the bill of granting certain amount of seats reserved in the Parliament for the women candidates is been in pending for the past 60 years. So this can be looked in two different points. One, from the negative point of view, yes, every time the bill comes to the approval of the House, but it gets rejected or it gets stopped, the Parliament session ends without approving this one. So what is our Parliament doing? Does it truly reflecting our society? The answer would be no. But coming to the positive approach, we can look at that. Yes, we did not give the representation for women, especially in the Parliament, but we have the right to ask this one, and we are trying to formulate this one for every Parliament session or for every 5 or 6 years. This bill comes for discussion in the Parliament House, which means itself giving a voice, giving a chance to discuss about the necessity of the change of the laws and reservation of seats for women in the Parliament. This could be the positive aspect of thinking. And now the women representation in Parliament has risen from 4% in 50s, 60s to 9% in the recent years. The rise was very little, but still it is rising. That point we have to consider here. Like this, the Parliament does not represent truly the reflection of the society. So there are certain seats reserved for SC candidates, ST candidates, and now there was an issue for asking reservation of seats for the women. Like this, we always give chance for getting the true reflection of the society in the Parliament. This is in brief about the Parliament.